So when I was analyzing the US strikes in Nigeria yesterday, part of what I mentioned was that drone strikes, cruise missile strikes on terrorists create their own type of terror. The terror of people just living their lives and being worried about the fact that when they hear something in the sky, there might be a bomb coming to come and attack the neighborhood. Well, sure enough, we now have some reports, as you can see on the screen here, that some of the debris or unexploded ordnances from the attack over the weekend, a few days ago, fell in Kwara State. Now, if you're wondering how far Kwara State is from Sokoto, which is where they were attacking, as you can see, it's about almost 700 kilometers away. So people that live 700 kilometers away from where this hotbed of ISIS terrorism is meant to be, now they have to be concerned that they could be potential targets, unknowingly, of bombs. Again, in this specific incident, no one lost their lives, but it's very possible that someone could have. So what you're creating, again, like I said, is a new type of terror. If people 700 kilometers away can be affected by this, what do you think that does for, if they're attacking Zamfara State? That's further north and further down a bit south from Sokoto State. People 700 kilometers from that in all directions could be concerned about that. Now people are going to be like, do we have a right to know when you're going to strike a place? Because we might want to take cover and, go underground or not be around because we don't know where all these other things might land. And again, if you know about the way drone strikes and all these airstrike stuff work, if you study like I have, places like Mosul, where the US and the allies, again, I keep saying the allies like we're in World War II, but the kind of NATO members or whatever, the airstrikes they did on ISIS in Mosul, there was incredibly high loss of life, civilian casualties in the tens of thousands. Now, it doesn't get reported because unfortunately in the Middle East, the idea is kind of like life is cheap and no one really cares, but they were not very accurate, let's just say that, and they killed a lot of civilians. And again, we know that the US and the Nigerian government, like I reported yesterday, don't exactly have a great track record for being particularly careful. But even when they try to be, as we see from this incident, people 700 kilometers away can still be affected. And so this is what you're creating by, trying this new strategy of we're just going to bomb them from thousands of miles away, instead of just actually governing these areas. Like I mentioned in my previous video, the terrorists they were striking a few days ago were invited in by that community because that community was seeing incredible levels of violence and insecurity. Now, if you go to that community, what you're not going to see is any schools. You're probably not going to see any government-run facilities. You're not going to see any, local government buildings. What you are going to find is terrorist rampaging. So how can it be that you can have an area in the country, in the territory of the country, that's, terrorists are invited in, but the government themselves have no presence? What you're going to expect and what you should expect to see is the kind of chaos